Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Amy and Dusty from Duck's Sominium Games. This duo most recently launched Botany Floral Dragons, which is an offshoot of their debut title, Botany, which has been an absolute smash hit. Amy, Dusty, welcome to the binge. How you doing?
My intro's not going to be as good. Hello.
Wow, getting all those words out there, and I got the name right. And oh gosh, guys, this game looks awesome, and I know this is built off of another game that was completely awesome as well. We're going to get into it on this episode. I'm so excited. But first and foremost, you guys are on the West Coast. We're just talking off air. You're in wine country. Tell us, how did you get into this industry? Like, when did you guys start gaming? Have you always gamed as a couple, or how'd this all start?
Okay, let's condense about
our origin.
We had 28 years worth of origin story into under a minute and a half. Okay. Amy and I started dating when we were 14 in high school. I saw her in the hallway at Los Molinos High School. There were a whopping 38 people in our class, and I just thought I had just seen an angel walking through the hallway. And I said to myself, dang, that girl's going to help me make some money as a business someday. And I knew I had to lock that down. So we started dating then. We started playing board games. I've been playing board games since I was in elementary school, and like BattleTech, Magic, Star Wars CCG.
Monopoly.
Yeah, Monopoly. I didn't care. Any game. I would play any game. And so then I got her to start on things like Munchkin and Small World.
He played a lot with his grandma.
My grandma was a cutthroat aggravation and Rummy 13 player, and so played with her. So we'd be in high school, and we'd go out and move the irrigation on the ranch, and then we'd slide over to her house, and she'd give us popsicles, and we'd play Rummy 13 in the afternoon.
She usually won, and she usually kept track.
Yeah, she kept track. So she actually had like scores and how often she was winning and all that stuff everywhere.
Oh,
she was
amazing.
Cutthroat. So that's what got us into gaming. And then after college, Amy started working for an interior design firm, and that firm went out of business.
It was 2007, so
the housing crisis in 2008 and everything, the firm went out of business. I was an IT consultant, and we were kind of just, Amy was kind of like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? There's not a lot of interior design jobs. I was traveling a bunch for IT, and so totally unrelated to anything. She's always taken a lot of pictures, and I bought her our first like really nice like professional level camera for Christmas. And when we did that, our best friend goes, hey, my sister's graduating from high school. You should do her pictures. So we took some pictures, and we're like, okay. And she's like, my friend's getting married. You should do some pictures. Okay, we'll take pictures. I swear this is all relevant, by the way. And so we started doing weddings. And within 2 years, we were doing 50 weddings a year. And pretty soon we were in the top 0.5% of photographers in the entire nation. And
COVID.
And yeah, well, hang on. We had one other business going, which was travel marketing platform. So we had these two businesses going. We stepped off of being employed. We've been self-employed now for 15 years.
Well,
and so survival mode. And we thought, oh, we're super diversified between travel and events. Nothing will ever come along that kills both those things. And sure enough, COVID came along and it killed both those things.
Yeah.
And so we were sitting around the house going, okay, well, we don't have a lot to do this year. What are we going to do? So we planted a whole bunch of lavender on the farm.
Yeah, I was like, let's start a lavender farm.
Yeah, of course, because that's what we're going to do.
Can't go anywhere. Let's start a lavender farm and a vegetable garden.
Yeah, might as well. And so we started manufacturing like at home flower presses and selling those on Etsy.
Lavender takes like 3 years to really start going.
You mean like the dried ones? Like where you like make bookmarks and things out of
The
them?
plants take 2 years to even be harvestable. So we planted about 1,500 lavender plants, which is a pretty good size. Compared to like commercial farming, if you're a small mom and pop commercial farm, that's plenty to like have a lavender business. But in the meantime, we're like, we got to generate some income here because we only shot like 4 weddings the year of COVID, and all the travel budgets were slashed for all the marketing organizations we worked with.
To shoot more like anywhere from 30 to 50 weddings.
And we were doing 4. So yeah, so we start making these flower presses, and we're like, hey, we're selling on Etsy. Things are selling well. We're selling on our website. We can do online retail.
I want to paint miniatures.
Yeah, I'm like, I got time. Let me paint miniatures. Amy's like, paint miniatures? You? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a professional artist. I photograph weddings. And she's like, I don't know about this. So then I started thinking, well, hey, there's lots of people on Etsy, which we had already got a foothold on, selling miniatures that they're printing. We could get some 3D printers. We could print some miniatures. I'm like, but they're all selling the same licensed stuff. Yeah. And Amy's like, well, maybe we could have somebody
start a board game. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Amy goes,
ones.
yeah, we could sell unique ones. And then we were driving to one of the few weddings we had. This is like 22. We were driving to one of the few weddings. Yeah. Private weddings and stuff like that. And Amy goes, if you're going to print miniatures, like design miniatures, you can make a board game to go with them. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be cool.
And Dusty's also always had like these weird dreams, I guess, like really.
So like I wake up in the morning, I had like a crazy dream about like, time traveling or space or all this stuff. I'm like, man, this is way more creative than I can. So for like 15 years, I've been writing these dreams down, all these weird stories and all these cool stuff.
Like do a book or something with them, and we're like, let's make a game.
We can make a game out of it. The funny thing is that game is still being made. It has not seen the light of day yet.
So that was originally Dream Sliver, and Somnium means leader of dreams.
Leader of dreams. So
that's why we named our company
directly related to the game.
Oh, God.
So then we found out that miniature games are super expensive to make. It's like $2,000 a miniature to sculpt and to get the art and to get the tooling and everything.
And we didn't have any money.
We had, yeah, and of course because COVID's happening, like we're like living off of savings while we build these other businesses. And so we were in the kitchen one morning, and Amy goes, "I have an idea for a game." I'm like, "Okay, tell me about it." She's like, "I've been reading this book about all these Victorian adventurers that would go around the world, and they'd be on volcanoes that are like erupting, and they'd fall into pit traps, and there'd be like bowls at the bottom of them, and they had pet falcons, and they fought pirates, and they did all this crazy stuff just to get flowers." I'm like, "Well, that's a cool story. How is this related to us?" She's like, "Well, we make flower presses, and we could have people press flowers in the game, and they're traveling the world." And within a week, botany existed in like playable form.
And also, I love collecting vintage books, so I'm like, we could use the historical artwork from these vintage books.
Yep. And so that, and then the rest is history. We put that on Kickstarter. We shelved our dream game, and we've been slowly working on that just for fun on the side. We put Botany on Kickstarter. That went through the roof. And then ever since then, everything's been 100 miles an hour.
Oh, wow. So before I get into that game, how aromatic is it around your house? Because, I mean, with all this lavender.
Oh, in June, it smells like lavender everywhere you walk. Yeah.
It must be infused in everything, eh?
Yeah.
And then in my garden, I probably have about 70 roses, and wow. I have probably 200 unique irises.
And that's just 2 sections of this whole garden. So we got a lot of space around here on the farm, and so the garden keeps growing and growing and growing.
This just goes to show that you can literally make a game about anything. And
oh yeah,
I think,
find your market niche. Yeah,
and what I think is really cool about this is that it seems obvious now looking back, right? That of course this should be a theme, right? This is something that people do, and the adventures of it. And it's kind of like, instead of trying to find the lost Ark of the Covenant, you're trying to find that perfect flower to put into your flower press. I mean, it makes sense, and I think what people should take away from that is, no matter what idea they have, whether it be like your idea of the dream book or what, like if you have any thematic idea out there at all, if there's not a game already designed around it, and there very well may be, right? Because there's so many times I think of a theme that I think is original, and then I'll go and Google it, and there's already a game based on that theme. So go ahead.
You'd probably take your own unique spin to it anyway, so it would be unique.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess the point is that you can literally take anything out there and turn it into a game, and you guys did that, which I think is so cool. Now, take me back to when you first started that journey, because you hadn't created a game yet, right? And this is a bit of a unicorn situation where you guys hit big on your very first title, right? And that is kind of like when I set people's expectations, I'm like, it's kind of like getting into the NHL, right? Like, sure, you could be a great hockey player, but there's still a very small percentage of people that make it into the NHL. Like, everything has to kind of align just right. What aligned just right for you guys? Like, what were some of the things that just kind of fell into place that kind of helped get you there?
I mean, at the time, we had been running our own businesses for 14 years when we first started that one. And so we had already spent like a great deal of time thinking about like market niches and key selling points and what does our target consumer want, and what do our consumer avatars look like, and all that stuff. And then when it really all fell together, we were working with Ori Kagan from Kagan Productions for our video.
Yep.
And Ori is so much more than a video guy. He goes through and does like a full super fan deep dive, builds a profile, uses that to build the structure of his videos, the whole 9 yards. And we came away from that meeting and it was like our third eye had opened. I was like, oh, I know exactly who we're selling to. It's Amy and her friends, and we're just making games for them.
Yeah.
And so we had, when we started on all that stuff, we were just looking for like market opportunities. And so having followed that path, it turned out the market was, we didn't know how big the market was going to be. It turns out the market was huge for us. But then there were just like a series of we started looking for help. And so we found
Dusty typed in, yeah,
how to Kickstarter on Google, and LaunchBoom came up as the first thing, and I started talking to LaunchBoom, and okay, now I understand this and this and this, and now I need to go find this, and then I found our sales guys from Golden Goose, our sales consultants, and those guys are geniuses, and so then they started helping us point in other directions, and then okay, now I got to figure out how to go shipping and logistics, and so when I'm looking at Happenstance, it's less about what we made. We knew we had a target market there, and it was more about am I finding the right people to help me do this? And every single one of them, it's thank goodness you picked up the phone, because if people don't pick up the phone when I call, I often do not call again. And you picked up the phone. Wow, that was super lucky. You were at a conference and you still just thought I should answer this phone call because you thought it was somebody else.
Well, and also whenever we started designing the box, we did have someone else design it. And I was like, Dusty, I want the box to look like an old book. And so
the first design came back, it looked like a billion other phenomenal board game boxes. I'm like, this looks like a board game box. It's incredible. And she's like, I don't like it. Yeah.
It looks like every other board game box.
So yeah, I was lucky that I listened to her on all this stuff. And so, yeah, we found the right people. We started asking the right questions. We got pointed in the right directions.
Yeah. So after the box, I didn't like it, and then they came back a few more times and I still didn't like it. I was like, I'll try again designing it, and so now I do all the graphic design.
And for Amy has an art history degree, and so she'll go through, and every single one of our games, the reason it all meshes so well is because she's using everything she's learned about the history of that period to create works that are the kind of things that were being created in that time frame when it comes to the graphic design of the games.
Well, that's
so
awesome.
A lot of happenstance about just having cross paths with the right people who could help us, and then knowing how to we're not afraid to ask questions. We ask a billion questions of everybody we work with, and then just asking tons and tons and tons of questions of those people once we had found them.
And Dusty's also very mathematical.
Yes.
And business oriented.
When I've interviewed others that have hit well on their first campaigns that have kind of come new into the industry, there's a very consistent thread here, right? Which is every single one of them, first of all, approach it to with the mindset of that they don't have all the answers, and they probably don't really know anything, but they're going to go find out from people who do know the answers.
The more I know I don't know.
Exactly.
Yes.
They network, right? Like your guys are saying, you network, and it's finding the right people in the industry that can provide that advice. Ori Kagan is great. Not only does he do amazing, we've had him on the podcast several times, but
nice.
Not only does he do amazing, videography with his, the tools that he has, but he's also expanded his business out towards consulting in terms of helping people put together the brand strategy around how to target the brand.
Yep.
He's also put together kits for people who want to do maybe the animation themselves. Okay, well, here's a kit and tools you can use to go and build this yourself. So you don't actually have to hire, an animator and things like that. So, talking to Mark Pascoal at LaunchBoom, we had him on the podcast, and again, another group that's very good at really pointing
education. They have taught us so much stuff. Yeah.
And the funnel, right? He's very good at, here's the funnel of how you get down to who your core user is. And I always tell people, you know what, if you don't do LaunchBoom, at the very least, go on Amazon and buy the LaunchBoom book. Get the electronic version. It comes with a ton of links. It gives you all of his templates. And he just shares a ton of information in there for the cost of a book. It is amazing. And, I think that when you look at LaunchBoom as an example and how much they exploded, it really started with, I would say, they have a huge business, but in the board game industry specifically, it kind of started with botany, right? That's when they were kind of
one of the first,
carving off the game side, and clearly I think that helped them see that, okay, this is the right the right path to take, because this is a huge market for us. Was there any learning along the ways that went the other way? Did you find when they were kind of tying in with you on kind of coming at this the launch room model, but specifically for board games?
Yeah, I mean, we board games. Okay, so they have two types of clients over there. They have us, which are like small dollar little things, entertainment, and then they have a lot of tech clients.
Yeah.
And when we first started at LaunchBoom, there were no other active game clients. They had a few. They had a few that had gone through the program already, but so I was logging into the different calls they do where they're going through and they help out different people with their ads and with their stuff. And as I was waiting for my turn to like go over my ads and stuff, I'm listening to like tech companies that have like a $2,000 product. They're going to launch it on Kickstarter. Their marketing budget is like $500,000. Yeah. And at the time we were like, gosh, I hope we could make like $20,000 on Kickstarter. That'd be great. And these people are marketing with $500,000. And so, it's a little bit of a different approach, like how you sell those things versus how you sell games. And so that was where we came up with the idea with Victor at LaunchBoom of, now we have our pre-campaign mini expansions and folks can buy those before the campaign. And so that's one of our most requested things.
We had started off with the early bird.
Just an early bird thing like their tech guys do. And it just wasn't hitting the same way for board games. But we started making little bits of content like, hey, here's a neat little expansion you can get before the campaign. And gosh, our fans just love it. Like we get requests for it. And we have people like, hey, like when we start announcing the next game, they're like, what kind of mini expansion are you going to do? Like, so people, not only is it working for us as an advertising tool, but our fans love it so much that they're now requesting, like making requests and like saying, ooh, could it be about this? Or could we do this? Or could we get more of this kind of thing?
Plus we just have fun.
And we just have fun making it. Yeah. So that was like something. And then, figuring out their methodology for the funnel is like, what are your top 5 selling points? What are they in order? Well, that works out perfectly with what Ori's doing with what are the top selling points and how do we put those in order in the video? Yeah. And that we have taken that methodology and pulled it through our entire like sales channel pipeline. So every time I put out anything, I'm thinking about the customer journey and I build it starting with the way LaunchBoom builds their funnels. I build our website like that. I do our advertising like that. I do our product offerings. I do our Kickstarter pledge tiers. Everything is built about like making it as simple as possible about saying, here's what here's selling point number 1 that you think is that matches up what you think is cool. And here's number 2 about what's really cool about it. Here's number 3. Now, and then my dad was a big real estate guy. He did a lot of real estate training for Century 21. And he would talk about now you got to address objections. So then we go through and we address like, okay, but like it's particularly for us, 80% of our client base is women who don't play a lot of board games.
Yeah.
Some of them, they send us a picture of their board game collection and it's everything that's behind us and that's it.
I think some of them just buy it because it's pretty.
Because it's pretty. And then so we have to like ease them into that. And so objection number 1 for our clients is like, gosh, I don't know. This looks like a more complicated board game I've ever played. So we got to say like, no, it's easy to play and here's how quick it is. And you can just jump right into it. And then for us, everything is tactile. And so like, and here's what it's going to be. Here's how nice the papers are and the linen textures and there's foil on the box and the acrylics are all swirly and cool. And I do that, having learned that from LaunchBoom, I do that on everything. Everything we do is built that way.
Yeah. These expansions that you do. So are these expansions for the game that's coming up, or is it based on the games that you just left? So for the game
that's coming up. Yeah. So like for Botany Full of Dragons, we have a little expansion called Skillful Sketches. And we go to our fan base and we're like, okay, guys, announcing Botany Full of Dragons. How exciting. If you would like for before the campaign, we have a mini expansion that's already because the first thing is like you gotta wait. You gotta wait 3 months. Yeah. And people are like, I want to buy it now. And we're like, okay, well here's a little mini expansion you can buy through our website now. But
it's not delivered until the game.
It's not delivered till the game comes out, but at least it's something fun. We're showing off cards. People are able to get on it, get in on it and do that. And on our average campaign, we land between like 3,000 and 4,000 of those sold before the campaign even launches.
Wow.
And most of those people go on to back. So it just ends up being a fun little marketing thing. And at first we were like, oh, I don't know if people are going to be really into this, but now we have like repeat customers every time it happens. They're like, oh gosh, can we buy that? Where can I buy it? And I have people emailing me in a panic. Like, I forgot to buy it. I'm like, it's not a big deal. It's okay. Like, here you go. I see you bought it for the other 4 coming up before this. And so it just ends up being a really fun marketing tool. And it's a great way to get people involved before the campaign even launches and build up hype. We do not launch until we have a rough idea that we're going to fund and we're going to make X amount of dollars. And and that's all based on just conversion rates of people who've bought our pre-campaign mini expansion. How many project followers do we have? How many email signups? We know the conversion rates of every single one of those channels.
And so like LaunchBoom.
Yeah. And LaunchBoom system taught us that. We still use LaunchBoom for all our stuff. But now when we go into a campaign, like we Amy and I run a tight ship, and so we know we need to make X amount of dollars to print this and make it feasible. And then everything after that is just bonus. And so we when we launch the campaign, we can look at those numbers and say, this campaign will probably make X amount of dollars. We should be good to go. Let's launch, rather than going in like a lot of people going blind. And they're just like, I hope it does well. Not for us. So like, we know it's gonna do exactly what we need it to do, and then everything after that is gonna be bonus and fun for us.
I love this. Let's pause on this for a second, because I want people to just to absorb this, because I say this over and over and over again on this podcast. It is formulaic, right? This is straight math. And if you're running a campaign, if you've done your homework, you should be able to predict going in with a fairly good sense, like amount of accuracy, where you're probably going to fund. And I've been able to do that myself, my last 3 campaigns. I always put the number on a chart, and I say, okay, here's where I think I'm going to hit based on what the math is saying. And I always come in with within 95% of that number.
Nice.
Like, it is very precise. So I agree with you. This whole like, hey, let's see what it's going to do, or I hope it's going to fund. Well, then you're not doing you're not asking the right questions. You're not meeting the right people. You're not doing the right math going in, because you should have those answers before you even go in. I've had this conversation with some people coming onto the podcast or wanting to come on the podcast, and I'll look at their campaign. I say, guys, you're not going to fund based on what you've set as your objective.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we're going to put it out there and see what it does. And I'm like, but I can tell, like, the math is the math. Like and so, you know, in those cases, usually we don't have them on the podcast, because I know they're going to pull their campaign after 3 days, or it's going to crash and burn. It always either crashes and burns, or they pull their campaign within a few days. So the math is the math,
you know,
right?
some of the problems there too are they have like, so it depends on how high your funding goal is. Well, your funding goal is not to say you should lower your funding goal, because if it costs you a lot to develop your game, then it costs you a lot to develop your game. That's your funding goal. But you should have spent more time cooking the pre-campaign to make sure you had the numbers. So like during the live campaign, we get a 63% conversion rate on the people who buy the VIP mini expansion. Yeah. That goes on to be even more after the campaign, because, you know, people are busy, late, so they come in through late pledges. They go on to buy through our website later on. We have a 10% conversion rate on email signups through that campaign. We have a 5% conversion rate on people who did not sign up through that campaign but are in our email list. We have a 3% conversion rate on, we have a 36% conversion rate on campaign followers. We have a 3% conversion rate on social media followers. So we go through before the campaign, and I assume there's some overlap there. So I use massively conservative numbers on those conversion rates. Like, I'll take each of those conversion rates and cut them in half to make sure. But then we know from our previous campaigns, okay, well, our average order value on Botany campaign was $69. Our average order value on this campaign is $137. So let's estimate somewhere in the middle and say the AOV is 90. Based on these, we're going to get X amount of backers based on all the followers that we built up, which means we're going to land at a minimum here. That's not counting Kickstarter Organics, not counting live campaign ads.
Yeah, but we advertise.
Yeah, we're advertising during the campaign. And so, yes, based on all that, like, we have a pretty good idea of, like, if we did nothing else and we only launched, and this was everything we had done to this point and didn't do anything else, that we're going to make X amount of dollars. We go look at, like, how much is the print we're going to be? How much do we want to print? Where are we going to land? And if all those lights are green, then we launch, but not until that happens.
Even with all that being said, for Botany, we had no clue.
We no clue. we knew we'd be pretty good at a minimum. Like, we knew we were going to be fine at a minimum, but we had no previous data to be like, okay, but this is what it's going to look like for our brand.
You can always do better, right? But there is a level where what the math is saying, right? Yeah. And so if the math is saying you're not going to fund, don't launch.
Don't launch. Yeah, it's okay. No one's going to be upset with you for not launching. Like, wait and launch when you have those, and part of it's finding your audience too. You know, we were lucky. We found our audience right away. And mostly we did that because we were advertising to Amy and her friends, and Amy was on Instagram already. We had other Instagram profiles that had plenty of followers on them. We knew where our fans were and how to advertise to them. And by the way, anybody listening that has a negative connotation with the word advertising, we knew how to show our product to people who wanted to buy it. That's what advertising is. It's not a gimmick. Yep. It's just, you're just showing it to them and they're like, ooh, I do want that. But when we're going through with Botany and everything like that, we knew who we were selling to. That wasn't a big deal. But we just didn't know, like, we didn't have any data to base these estimates off of. So we were just using general data from other people.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I got one more question on this pre kind of thing. So when people get these expansions, is there people that buy the expansions that don't fall through on actually back in the game? And then what do they do with that expansion?
During the live campaign, yeah.
You don't get it unless you like.
So they back, and so a lot of those,
Yeah.
not a lot of them, a few of them come and ask for refunds. No big deal. Here's your refund. I don't mind because again, I'm already planning for that.
Yeah.
A lot of them go on to buy late pledge. A lot of them go on to buy through our website, and I still honor all of them. If they come to me and they're like, hey, I couldn't back the campaign at the time, but I just bought on your website, I'll just go ahead and add the mini expansion for them. Like, I don't mind.
Yeah.
And so it goes on to be a big tool, like, over time as well. For the people that
At conventions, we also
we give them away. We do them at conventions. We sell a ton through our website. We have people overseas who will pay like $20 shipping to get one of the, like, I only have some of them available in the US right now, and we're sold out in our UK fulfillment center. I'll get an email. I'm like, yeah, we do have it. I can ship it to you from here, but man, shipping's a little expensive at like $21, and they're like, paid. Like, I want that mini expansion.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so it ends up going on to be like a good source of revenue and a good marketing tool for us. We'll put them in bundles.
Plus, they're fun.
Then they're fun. Yeah, people like them. Like, and the ones in botany, like we have one that's all based on roses, and we have one that's all based on blue flowers. And so it's just additional fun content for people.
Is it is it cheaper if they buy it before the campaign? Like, I'm trying to think of what the hook is for them to buy.
Yeah, so we offer it on sale before the campaign. So we sell it for $1, and the MSRP is like $9 to $15 depending on what kind of mini expansion we're putting together. Okay. Yeah. And so, it costs us about that to print it, not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then it's going on to be like a sales and marketing tool for us. And so it's just a really powerful tool that way. We still offer them during the live campaign. And and I learned this from Stonemaier, like Stonemaiers promos are always available. Maybe it's not for the promo price that it was in the beginning, but they're always available. And so we make them available. So people, we still sell a few thousand of them during the live campaign. Yeah. We sell it. We continue to sell them all the time. If I'm doing ABC quality ranking on my inventory, they're a C rank item, and a lot of times you would cut C rank items, but for us, because they're a marketing tool, I mean, they're selling. I don't even know how many I've sold a day. At least 20 of them today through our own website. Just people picking them up with their different orders and stuff like that. And so I think they're one of the most powerful tools we have. Are they like a money driver? Not necessarily, but they are additional revenue. And then we bundle them. We use them like Amy said. We give them away at conventions. And everybody loves the heck out of them. And so it's just like it's a win-win-win on all sides for them.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I got this from the launch room as well. And after reading the book and talking with Mark, we had something similar where we had a trick taking game that we offered as a pre-event, so they could get it for literally $1 with a VIP membership, or they could pay $25 during the campaign. Like, so it had high value, and it was 65% conversion. I have those that had who had opted into that fall through on a full pledge. So. Clearly the science is there, it works. And nor should anybody ever be apologetic about it too. And I remember when I had,
never.
Yeah.
No.
When Mark was on the podcast, at the time he was taking a lot of heat over the VIP program.
We were taking a lot of heat for it.
And I said, Mark, don't hate the player, hate the game, man. Like, it is what it is. If consumers act, if that's the consumer behavior, then why are you at fault for leveraging how consumers behave? I mean, that's marketing 101.
And here's the thing. At the time that was happening, there were some high-profile board game YouTube channels making a lot of videos that were
clickbait.
Yeah, that were clickbait and were 98% wrong, and the 2% where they were right weren't a big deal if you thought about them. And but I'm a math guy, so I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, these guys are making a bunch of noise, but where am I at? Well, on Botany Floral Dragons, we had 3,541 people buy our pre-campaign mini expansion. We had another 8,123 people who, even seeing that we were selling that pre-campaign mini expansion, they didn't want to get it, and that's fine. They don't have to get it, but they still gave us their email and said, I would love to know more about this campaign. Cool. So I'm working at like 11,600 and something people that have indicated that they are super interested in this and or have bought that pre-campaign mini expansion. Mm-hmm. At the time, everybody was acting like the world was ending over all these YouTubers complaining about the dollar thing. How many people did I have complain about the $1 sale? Like, I got a comment or an email from this on this campaign. I had 4. So I had 4 people that were upset about it. I had 11,000 people, 600 people who were super into it. And I've probably gotten another 100 emails from people panicked, like, oh gosh, I can't remember if I bought this or not. Like, so they're that excited to get it. And, to say it's a marketing gimmick, to say it's manipulative, I mean, no. Here's a thing for $1. It's super fun. Do you want it? And I have faith in my customers to have the agency to say, I do want that. Yeah, I'll take it. Like,
I had one person that was vocal about it on mine, and they're like, I don't think it's right. And I said, look, I am totally at peace with rewarding the people that support me before the campaign, that help, and because the VIP group, we leverage, right, and you can
Yep.
use them to get feedback on design and feedback on directions you want to take,
And we
you
do.
can pull it,
Yep.
which I
We
do as
super
well.
do that. Yeah.
And I said I am totally at peace with those people giving input ahead of outside of the campaign, and I'm rewarding them for that, and them early buying in, and them confirming their pledge ahead of time so that I can better predict the numbers when we're going to like that. That's cool. I'm good. So
And the dude that was complaining to you was never going to be your customer in the first place.
Exactly.
And he was also typing that email to you while eating a Big Mac that he had bought on sale at McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you
Well,
got to go for your market, right? And not focus on the people who aren't your market, I guess is kind of the headline news on that one. Can you, as a very briefly, and maybe we'll get Amy to do this, can you describe this new game to people, like what the Floral Dragon expansion is, or this kind of second edition of Botany? Can you kind of talk to the audience about that and kind of the essence of how to play it?
Dusty's the talker.
Okay, well, let Dusty talk about that.
No, but Amy's super shy, so I talk a lot and she talks smart. Okay, so the whole point of Botany is you're traveling around the world and you're collecting flowers. You're trying to find certain flowers. So in Floral Dragon, same deal. You're traveling around the world that Hit Point Press has created. But this time you're looking for floral dragons, and in their world, and it was an instant for us. Amy came up with the gameplay like instantly. But basically in their world, it's a great honor to have these floral dragons come back and reside at your garden, and you're trying to build a garden to be like attractive to them. So for Botany Floral Dragons, you go out, you find the dragons, you bring them back to your garden, so we expanded on that, where the garden in Botany, the gardens are just like cards, you just put them down in a stack. In Botany Floral Dragons, you're now building a garden, and Amy went through and built all these beautiful little garden tiles that you can go through and you build your garden and based on what the dragons like. And then in their world, there's a corruption that's spreading. It's like a fungal corrupt, like spores, mushroom spores and stuff that are spreading. So now on the map too, we added this corruption that slows you down, and they have little dandelion dragons that have like a tenuous grasp on like time and space. And so you can pay those dragons to warp you all over the map. So it's like Botany plus a bunch of new mechanics. And so, I think both versions are really cool, and I'm pretty proud of the fact that we came up with all this new stuff. And then Amy went through and did all the graphic design, and she's a genius.
And the photography again, guys. I mean,
that's all Amy.
The wedding
so good. Yeah.
And that photography is here in this kitchen. Like, we moved it because we were still building the studio over on the other side of the farm. The dining room table was in the family room.
No, actually, we used the dining.
Oh no, the dining room table's underneath that for this one. Yeah. But on our past campaigns, the dining room table's in the family room. And that's all just shot with this window light here in this kitchen.
I'm always so jealous of photographers because you guys do so well. And
it
for
makes
me,
things
like,
really easy,
like a picture of like I'll try to shoot something similar and I make a mess of it. So I always rely on others. So good for you guys to be able to bring in that talent and certainly the design aesthetic too that flows through here. I mean, this game is absolutely gorgeous, and it's clear in your funding that. Obviously is really resonating with a lot of people, and this is just a start. With your retail commitments and so forth, this is going to be another smash hit for you guys. What's the next steps? Where do you guys go from here? Are we going to continue expanding the world of Botany? Are you going to go in another direction in terms of game design, or what's your plan?
So what we kind of try to do is like a Venn diagram. So we try to do like botany flower things, but then also like our next game was LaFleur.
So LaFleur takes it, slides it like that. Yeah. And then Amy came up with artistry. Well, that's French, so that slides up above LaFleur. And then endearment slides back over towards, endearment's Regency era, but still Jane Austen is still a little closer tied to Victorianism, so that slides over this way. Botany Floral Dragons takes the flowers and it slides it, so now we're encompassing fantasy fans, but still like overlapping with the flowers. So
and then we have a game, I don't know if you noticed it on our campaign, that's
Victorian Greeting Card Showdown.
And that one kind of slides it back into the Victorian, but
but that's a party game, so we try to do like different styles of games and stuff. So
at different price points.
All that to say, we have we're working on our next few games. We have 10 more games coming out this year.
Wow.
Some of which we've announced and some which we have not. Yeah.
But we've also, some of our games are now by other designers. Like,
So yeah, we're starting a new audience side on more like nerdy games that are like I'm drawn to like as a start. So we have Notebook Nations. We're going to launch the campaign for that probably in June. That's already printing, so that campaign's going to be delivering like a few weeks after the campaign ends to folks. We have our next big Duck Somnium title coming in the fall. We haven't announced that one yet, but I will tell you, if you know our Venn diagrams, we have taken one of the Venn diagrams and we have slid it. And so it's gonna be exciting stuff for that one. And then we have another one that we're sliding another way, and that's for our spring one. And we just made up that one. And my gosh, I'm like dying to tell people about it, but we have to finalize it before we can. So
we also have Talons and Treasure, which is
by one of our designers. Yep.
One of our designers.
Oh, that's amazing.
But I did the graphic design for that one.
And pulling historical art from Antoine Setter. Yeah. That one's a cool one too.
Oh gosh. Well, for those who want to check this out, I'm going to encourage them to do so. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for them to check out the campaign. Visually stunning, guys. Congratulations on this again.
Thank you.
It's been amazing. I'm so happy for you guys. And there's a lot that others, I think, can learn by just observing what you've done here. And hopefully a couple of these tips you've given along the way, people are taking some notes. So I want to wish you all the best in this campaign. And I can't wait to see what you come up with next.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, you take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.